Thanks for joining us Behind the Frontline, a podcast providing timeless solutions to everyday workforce and workplace challenges. Frontline Training Solutions is an express employment professionals company, strategically placed between the workplace and the workforce with professionals standing by, ready to combat your unique challenges. Learn more about what we do at frontlineon.com. Thanks for tuning in to this special segment of Behind the Frontline, where we went to Denver, Colorado to the Express Employment Professionals International Leadership Conference, and we sat down with some of the top staffing leaders around the country and asked them questions about what challenges they are seeing in the workplace and the workforce, and their thoughts about how companies can become and stay employers of choice. Like anything you hear and want to know more, contact us at frontlineon.com or reach out to your local Express Employment Professionals near you. And here we are again this morning. We're sitting with Mike Smith, who is the Director of Business Intelligence at Express Employment International in Oklahoma, and also with Stephanie Miller, who's the Director of Talent Acquisition and Retention. Very short job title. Yes. She's also with Express Employment International in Oklahoma. How are you both doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So real quick, if you could just tell us and our listeners, tell us about your role in International Express Employment Professionals and what you focus on.
Yeah, Steph, would you want to go first?
Sure. So my role really is in helping the franchises and our field understand how to recruit associates, how to retain them, how do we get the most out of what we're trying to accomplish, which is get as many people working in the market as we can. My background, I've been with Express for 26 years.
Oh, wow.
I actually started in the Bend, Oregon office where I worked my way up, became partner, and changed to this role at International in 2021. So it's a very different job, but similar in the sense that I get to help people. Now I'm helping franchisees as opposed to associates in my own market.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you relocated?
No, actually, I work remotely,
Okay.
so I'm still in Oregon. I'm in the
Okay.
other O state.
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, I work remotely and travel.
Okay.
So,
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I'm Mike Smith, Director of Business Intelligence, as you said. So our Business Intelligence division is really built around, I should tell you about myself. Yeah, that's actually important. So I've worked at Express for about 13 years.
Okay.
I've worn lots of hats. Everything from marketing, working with the franchise team. So lots of great opportunities. Now I'm with the sales support. We work interdepartmentally, so we work with a lot of departments across the company. And really, so as business intelligence, what we do is we leverage both internal data from our offices, analysis from that front, and then we also work with third-party data sources, so working with BLS data. We have a couple partners, JobsEQ over there and ZoomInfo, Dun & Bradstreet. So we pull in this firmographic and demographic data and kind of analyze territories. We get to take opportunities to redraw territories when they become too large, or just make sure the territory remains viable through that time. So, incredible opportunity. We have a wealth of data in the staffing industry. We're a leading indicator economically, so it gives us a pulse on where the country's going. So, a fantastic job. And working with Steph, we actually work a lot on the data side for growing our other side of our client base, or customer base, which is our associates. So
Nice.
Cool thing.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that is awesome. Yeah, you guys have really important roles.
Yeah, big roles and lots of great experience. It
I
sounds
appreciate that compliment.
Thank you.
Sometimes I just think spreadsheets is all I do. So.
Yeah, well, that's important. Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we're all about talking about challenges and presenting solutions to those challenges. So I would love to hear your perspective on what are some of the challenges that you're seeing around the workplace and the workforce, not just in your two specific areas, but you guys have a front row seat to what's happening around the country. So what are some of the themes that you're seeing pop up?
Yeah.
Well, that's truly how we came together. It was how is the associate pool? What are we struggling with? And as a company, we have often looked at data differently, not always just from the associate's perspective. So we started asking questions. How can we help the franchisees with their recruiting challenges? We all know that recruiting's been an issue. So that's really how Mike and I started working closely together. And there are things that we know. We know that we have a population change that has caused some shortages. We have the change of just what does a job look like? What are companies struggling with? Are we still remote? Are we back in office? There's just a lot of components that have created a difficult recruiting market. So we're trying to provide or look at how do we get solutions to, for example, upskilling. How do we get people those skills that they need? We provide that without any charge so they can actually grow their career path. And so those are a couple of the main issues that Mike and I were tracking, which is what do we really need for talent? How do we get those individuals that have worked with us and nurture that relationship so that they can grow their career path? And it's exciting to see us have a long-term, multi-connection relationship with our associates, not just the clients that we work with.
And it's maximizing the value, like
Yes.
not only for us. I mean, obviously, staffing, it's a sales, environment. But so we make something off the associates, but we also make huge changes in the associates' life. So all the work we do is redeeming on both sides, both for us as an organization and then also for them as a worker in the workforce. So.
Yep, and Bill Stoller really put this into play when he established the Associates for Life program, which was how do we take that relationship and grow it to the next level, and how do we make those individuals' lives more meaningful and parallel with them as they grow their own career. And so as an industry, we're somewhat known for this one temp job and move on. Express isn't doing that anymore. We really want to help people and we want to reconnect with them.
Right.
So the idea of multiple relationships, that is near and dear to my heart because my market was a small market, a small town where everybody knew everybody. So if you treated one person really well, everybody knew about it. So we want that to be in every market so that we grow our recruiting internally.
It's so important. The Associates for Life, especially in this, talent crisis that we're facing, vanishing workforce. You talked about the data, and I know that through our own research of the vanishing workforce, we saw that, so many people retired early in COVID. We saw that, working age men just didn't want to go back to work. And we also saw that the, birth rate is declining for the last 50 years, and it's going to continue to decline. I'd love to hear what other data that you guys have found or seen.
Yeah, that it's interesting, the staffing industry, the winds of change that shift our industry, there's a lot of things, not only talent crisis, and actually if you speak towards the talent crisis, one of our biggest problems right now, so last 12 months prior to, I think, actually the last 2 months have been okay, but prior to that, since March, we saw a softening in the staffing industry. So that's a huge sign of labor hoarding. So we have, client companies that are buying out our contracts, they're bringing in people full-time, putting them on their payroll, and so that really prevents us from being able to leverage the talent pool because it's dwindling. It's stuck in our competitors and our clients. So that, and it's both good and bad, both for them, but also it ends up in a lot of underemployed people because they're in jobs that they're kind of staying in. They don't necessarily look at temporary staffing as an opportunity for them to kind of diversify both their skills and look for opportunities. So. And then, economically, it's been a pretty rough year. So, with the cost of really everything, you look at, even a gallon of milk being so expensive, people want to keep a job. They can't go without, a lot of these necessities that are super expensive. So they're kind of clinging on to that job, clinging on to that paycheck.
Right.
So, and like I said, we're an economic trend. We show a lot of that. If we start seeing a pickup, we can start actually kind of conversely seeing people start exiting. So, and this JOLTS report came out yesterday. We had a lot of exits. So even though the market stays relatively strong comparatively, people are leaving. Tech industry has seen some shrinking over the last couple months. So we're actually seeing some of that really highly skilled talent enter the market.
Okay.
I think, and regulations is probably one of the other biggest struggles we have. So you look at a lot of our states that have had some increase in regulations. The data in those states is telling a big story about what legislators do to us and how they impact job seekers directly.
Well, and we're seeing, there's, on both the client side or business side and the associate side, there's a bit of a disconnect because we're holding on to old hiring practices where your resume has to look exactly like the job description.
Yeah. Yep.
And if it doesn't align 100%, they won't interview you with a lack of talent that they need in those skill sets. So part of it is how do we get that communication between what people's skills and experience are with what the client really needs in a way that they can understand if somebody's qualified or not. So another project that Mike is working on and we're talking through is how do we identify what skills, not job titles, what skills and experiences are so that you could remap technically somebody from job A to job B based on those attributes
Yeah.
and not just job title.
What's transferable?
What's
right?
transferable?
That's how you overcome that labor shortage from a skill perspective.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
we may not have the people that seem to have the skills now, but readily could obtain those skills
Yes.
through a series of jobs and totally change what kind of labor they can do.
And
that's light industrial all the way up to professional.
And honestly, that's an applicant challenge too, because as I
Yes.
talk to people, they have fatigue in the role that they're in. They need to work. They don't know how to change their career again. So they also need those tools. And honestly, it's very difficult if you haven't been in the job market for a while or you don't have this resource. They don't know how to change
Where do
their
I
career.
begin?
Where do I start, or
Right.
what can I do? So it is a miscommunication on both sides that we need to solve for people, because you can move careers and be very successful at something different
Yep.
if you know what you're good at and what is linked skills and experience between
And
two
this,
roles.
this AI revolution, revolution, you can call it that. AI
Yeah.
revolution is absolutely
I wondered
gonna
how long
change.
it would take to get to AI with the
Yeah.
idea
we
of
talked
business
about it a few
intelligence.
times. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it.
What are
That's
you- what
good.
are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Give us some thoughts.
Oh man, and so the skill pathing thing. I mean, that's 100% AI driven. It can't be. There's no way. She talked about resumes. That there's people that they have resumes that don't exactly read well in ATS systems. So and that's a hard coded. Like, if it doesn't find these things, it kind of weeds them out. But AI contextually looks at job descriptions and kind of pulls out those skills. Even job history. If you went into even just ChatGPT, the free version, you go in and you say, what skills do I need to be a civil engineer or something like that, and it'll populate a series of skills and then rank them accordingly. So I think that AI revolution is going to find a way to retool our workforce appropriately and give them a skill, not a career path. It's not a career path anymore.
Yeah.
It's a skill path.
It's kind
developing
of
skills.
creating that pathway for them that's hard for them to see right now.
Yep.
Because where do I start? Where do I
Right.
go?
What do I even need? I
What-
mean, even education has suffered for years, on tooling. I say this kindly, but
Formal
tooling,
education,
formal
specifically.
education,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
tooling the workforce for the direction the economy needed them to go. So
Yeah.
I remember being a kid, and they said, you don't go to college, you're not getting anywhere. But now we have the highest age of plumbers that have ever existed in the country ever. I mean, they're all at the precipice of retirement. So we
Right.
had no
Yeah.
skilled trades entering the market. We were all going to college. And so education has kind of done that. And I think AI is going to help them too. It's going to tell them, like, here's the trends of the market. Here's the development you need to do in your curricula so that you get the right talent into the workforce.
And I think,
So good.
the other thing is we think it's going to replace humans. This is always the fear,
Oh,
right? Is it
yeah.
going to
No way.
replace my job? I believe the truth is it's not going to replace humans. What it's going to do is arm them with the training at real time, with support at real time that they can then use to capitalize in their job position. Even if you think about our industry, imagine being in a staffing industry where you've never worked before. You can't know every career that you're going to fill. But if you could identify what does a civil engineer do at your fingertips, that would be powerful knowledge that would get you productive immediately. That's where I believe that there could be a good relationship for training and development of your team, because it's hard to run a business and make sure that everybody has every piece of knowledge that they need. This is where we can support each other and get those entry-level workers first trained quicker, but also to their passion point faster.
Right.
That's how
That's
we
good.
retain those younger workers where
Yeah.
we're like, they're worried they're leaving. Some of that is that we need to get them to their passion point quicker and more often in the day.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
talked about challenges. There's a huge one that's facing our offices right now, which is turnover. I mean, our average tenure of an employment specialist is 7 months. So on the AI front, on the training front, how do you expect somebody to fully understand, like, the capacity of every occupation, exactly to her point, without being armed with an ability to know everything that's why, Elon's such a forward-thinking guy, putting computers in people's heads. I mean, that's the closest way we're going to get to being easily armed. And it's unfortunate they do leave in 7 months. I mean, no longer is company loyalty the way to get an extra dollar.
Right.
The extra way is
Yeah.
to jump your job. If you are underemployed and you need an extra dollar, an extra $10,000 a year, jump ship. I mean, it's so easy to do, and we lose them to competitors and we lose them to other industries. So we need that AI piece to, even upskill. We'll talk about upskilling.
Right.
Upskilling our incoming workforce so that they're prepared to work with our client companies appropriately.
Well, I don't mean to go backwards, but I do want to comment when you talk about formal education. We created our culture created the idea that college was a requirement.
Right.
Yeah.
Then it didn't differentiate our candidates any longer, and formal education moves a little bit slower than private industry. So we're starting to see those universities say, is this the right path? And they're making adjustments, which I think is very positive because we need to look at our future a little bit different on how we are providing that education to our young people. So if there's one thing that came out of that big shift, it was even formal education said, okay, we have to look at how do we get people educated quicker, ready to work. And that's a good thing for everybody, for our generations coming up.
What's interesting about generations coming up, I'm curious to see what's going to happen in the next 10, 20 years because all of these younger generations, my daughter's only in the 4th grade, and they did an exercise where they talked about what kind of job they wanted in the future, and like 90% of her class put YouTube influencer.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She, proud of my daughter, she put teacher.
I
She wants
like
to be a
it.
teacher.
I like it.
But I'm thinking the next 10 to 20 years, everybody wants to be a YouTube influencer, a social media influencer. What's that going to look like for her?
Oh, man.
For our blue-collar
A
jobs.
lot
I
of
have a
influencing out there.
I have a good opinion on that. So have you seen and it happens to Joe Rogan. It happens to him. They create this AI content that like changes the way he uses his lips. And they create these like hot reels that only last like a couple seconds. I think that TikTok trend, being a unique person, is going to be impossible to stand out.
Yeah.
When you have somebody in the
with,
background
right.
they don't necessarily have a personality. They have this tech-savvy mentality, and they leverage technology to kind of replace those TikTok stars. And I will tell you, I have nephews. They're actually much older than 4. And they both think that they're going to be either a professional sports athlete or they're going to be a YouTube and TikTok influencer. And I'm like, nah, you should be an engineer. Like, you want to like apply this logic you have. I think you should go be an engineer or even a plumber or a welder to that point.
I do hope that because we have those trends, that we as employers start to understand the way to engage young people is to let them see what those careers look like.
That's right.
Because they don't know. They're coming out of
They
high
don't know
school.
what they don't know.
They
That's
don't know what they
100%.
don't know.
All they know are
Yeah.
YouTube
And
influencers,
that's
right? No
exactly
wonder they
right.
want to be a YouTube influencer.
So my daughter's a junior in high school, and we are at that moment where we're making decisions. And so, of course, because of who I am and what I do, I said, you need to go see. What do you like?
Yep.
And so she said, well, I like medical. So, you can do a ride-along with an EMT. You can go into a clinic. And the more we as businesses provide that opportunity, the more we nurture this idea that there are other options out there. I think the reason young people think that's what they're embraced in 24 hours
That's
a day.
all they know.
They
Yep.
don't see anything else. So we have to get them in our workplaces, let them see what they're doing, use their hands, use their brains, then they will change paths. That's how we're going to...
Staffing is no longer the picture we saw back in the Kelly
right.
Girl days. Like, we're not hiring typists. We are a growth company. Like, we are growing the employment workforce to be what the economy needs in the future.
Yeah,
And
right.
truly, all employers should be thinking. If they're
Absolutely.
not thinking growth plan for every person they have in their office, then
Well,
they're thinking exit
It's
plan.
just a
That's
matter
how
of
that
time,
works.
right?
Yeah.
They're gonna
Yes.
leave. It reminds me
Yes.
of this old concept that we've been hearing a lot lately on. I think there was a knowledge campaign on it about micro credentials,
Yeah.
and that targeted development around a specific topic is really a
Yes.
powerful way to give people what they need to round their career out and make them capable of doing more. So
Yeah.
give them that targeted training.
Yeah, you were talking about, being an engineer and stuff. I remember 3 years ago, or 4 years ago now when COVID hit. Wow, time's going quick. I remember a video that I saw of Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, and he was talking about, 10 years ago, everyone said be an engineer, but now, as you're trying to stand out in this digital age, tell people, hire someone that can tell your story well, because that is how you're going to stand out.
Yep.
And so people want to become YouTube influencers. I agree. Let them find out for themselves.
Yes.
But it still makes me nervous about what's going to happen when your toilet breaks.
Yeah.
You're not getting that thing.
Well,
or it's going to
interestingly,
cost you $10,000 to get them to show
Right.
up.
And
Supply and demand.
interestingly, of all the things that needed to change, that skilled trade certification, hasn't changed.
Yeah,
So if
it's
you're a
always gonna be
plumber
there.
in Oregon, you can't be a plumber in California without doing your
Yep.
internship again.
Oh,
we
gosh.
have to loosen that a little bit because otherwise we won't have anybody.
That's
Yep.
right. That's
All right. Well,
This has been good.
this has been really good and lots of really good insight. One last quick question, brief take. What's your best advice right now for a company maneuvering the talent crisis?
Oh man.
Well, I first think grow within. If you
Grow
have
within.
talent there,
Okay.
capitalize on it. Make
Invest.
those teammates allow them what they need to do. And the second thing is really consider what does that next worker want?
Yeah.
What are they looking for? We do have to adapt our processes to entice the right people.
Yep.
That's
I would
good.
say leverage technology to take your younger workforce and move them into a higher skilled position faster, which totally plays into that. You start growing them when they're at their beginning of their career, and you can actually get that loyalty back maybe.
Yes.
You know, because right now people jump in, that's a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
No one's going to have the experience. No one's going to get there fast enough, and you're just always going to have underperformers or underemployed people.
All right. Well, thank you both so much.
Yeah, this
has
is
been
Thanks for
fantastic.
having us.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
by.
This is great.
It was
Great
awesome.
conversation.
Thank you.
Yep.